was right there for you if you were good enough to take advantage of some things, but the Noles weren't. Gene Williams, we are now live on the Warchant.com postgame show. This is the Warchant.com postgame call-in show after a Florida State 10-point loss to Clemson. The Tigers score on the very final play of the game as Florida State's trying to do hook and ladders and all kinds of weird stuff.
And a lot of gamblers are very upset by that that nonsense at the end.
That's an important play. If you got it at 9 and change, if you got it at 10.5, you were spared that it was the final play of the game and there was no extra point. But if we're talking about gambling people being angry, it's probably because the Noles didn't win. There's not a whole lot of celebrating to do right now, Gene, but with 5 minutes left to go in this football game, Florida State had the ball up 3. They couldn't get a first down. And next thing you know, a couple of yellow hankies on the ground later, Clemson's in scoring range, and Will Shipley takes it in. And that kid is going to be a problem at Clemson for the next 3 years. And so it is that the Noles drop to 3-5. Clemson improves to 5-3. And a game that was ugly as hell for the Florida State offense, we still had a crack at it to win this football game late, and we didn't do so. So, Gene, your thoughts as everything's starting to slow down and you can take in the 10,000-foot view of this football game.
I'd say it was what we expected. It was a low-scoring slugfest, two teams that not great offenses. Clemson obviously struggling there. They had a really good defense. I hate to even put up the score. It's 24-20 is the final. That's just nonsense. That's a 10-point game. So I mean that's indicative of what it was. But look, Florida State, they kind of did what they needed to do, but a couple things they didn't do. Tom, 9 penalties. That's the one thing that the last few games they've cut that out. And this is one game he said you could not commit too many penalties. And the key drive that won it for Clemson was those 2 15-yard penalties. To me, the pass interference on Noles was bullshit. I can say that on here. I think it was. I don't think that shouldn't be called. The one on Lundy, okay. You hit him a little bit late, out of bounds. We know this is the ACC. Your Florida State's going to get nailed for that. It is what it is. The guy should not be anywhere near anybody out of bounds because you know what the ACC is going to do. So that one, okay, fine. But I get frustrated at that. But you know what? They shouldn't have been that when they had the lead and they had the ball and they went 3 and out. You can't put yourself in that position. You're not good enough defensively to stop even a below average offense in those situations, and they didn't. But, they played well enough to win the game. They could have easily won it. Again, they were up by 3 points late in the game. Obviously, it wasn't enough. But, we did see they're better. They've gotten better all season. They still have some deficiencies on both sides of the ball. And between that and the special teams, like letting the ball bounce, even RG3 was ripping Florida State on the special teams. That was one of the few things I agreed with him on during the day, is letting that ball bounce at the end to go down to the 7-yard line or whatever was insane.
First of all, 904 Noel, thank you for your
contribution.
Thank you. Kevin, we appreciate you too. Thank you so much. You guys are all too generous on a night where we didn't get the result we were looking for. With the special teams, I like John Papuchis. I think he's a good dude. I think he's done well with the defensive ends. I don't think there's anything and he's a good recruiter. I don't think he has to leave the staff, but somebody else has to run special teams. I'm done with this. This is ridiculous, Gene. It's 3 times in that football game where you could have had a lot of extra yards if we just bothered to run up and catch the football. Now, on the final punt of the game, there's no way you could catch it. It's a line drive, shank job to the left, but you can certainly scoop it on the first hop and run it back at Florida State to the 25.
It's out of fear. I think it was out of fear. I don't want to screw up, but at some point you got to go in there, grab it, and go. If you screw up, you screw up. But you can't. Florida State can't start that drive inside their 10-yard line. They just can't.
Correct, 100%. And at the 20-17 drive, Gene, when Florida State's defense gets off the field again, so you scoop and score. Clemson's got the ball at the 39-yard line because of a celebration penalty. Are you?
Oh my gosh, Again, RG3 again. I guess there's 2 times I agree with him because he questioned that call too. On the TV broadcast, and absolutely. I mean, a guy just made a huge play in the 4th quarter of a rivalry game. It's a student athlete. Let him have fun. It's freaking ridiculous.
A straight trash call. So Clemson's got the ball at the 39. The defense gets off the field. I mean, listen, they weren't perfect, and that number 30 is about right to me, Gene, because of the 2 missed field goals. I'm not going to give Clemson the 49-yarder, but the 2 that were closer. So I think Clemson was around that upper 20s, low 30 range in terms of score output, which is not good because they didn't score 20-plus on anybody in regulation in FBS play until today. but the defense made plays in big moments down the stretch here. They were the ones that put this game on ice if the offense could do what it was supposed to do. And frankly,
they got 3 turnovers. You told me this was 3-1 in the turnover ratio. I think Florida State's winning the game.
Yeah, 100%. And what pisses me off is that kid, Trayshawn Ward, is a workhorse, and he earned a scholarship the hard way. I really love that kid, but you can't run him back out there to make the same mistake over and over again. We've seen this before with special teams. For me, the first place I look with anger is at special teams. 100%. That's where I go first. It cost you this game. It did. Then key penalties, some legitimate, some completely illegitimate, put you in this position. But when you're up 20-17 in that building and you've got a chance to close it out, and these little stupid things put you behind the chains to where Clemson has the ball in good scoring position, it just drives me freaking nuts, Gene, because you're not good enough to overcome mistakes like that, and that's what today was about. You put yourself in a position, you took way too many penalties, and special teams killed you. That's just, I mean, that's horrible. That can't happen. But overall, you know, I was happy to see that we were in the game, and the defense showed up, made a couple of plays to put us in position to win. It just, I'm fired up and pissed off about. I haven't had the chance to do the emotional thing because we have to go through checklists before the show. But God, dog it, and I know Corey Clark's saying the same thing. It drives his ass nuts. Special teams was just killer.
And I guess it's even more frustrating because this is Mike Norvell. Oh, Vishtal, man, you're the man. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate that. Yep. I mean, it is encouraging. I get that. Again, we don't like the moral victories kind of thing in a loss. But yeah, it was progress. You went into Clemson. You took them to task. You're winning that game late. You had a chance, real good chance to win the game. You didn't get it done, but you were very competitive. So I mean, that is a positive sign because this is, I mean, a month ago, Tom. I mean, you think Florida State's going to lose by 30.
Right.
And no, they're winning the game late at Clemson, so it's obviously a lot of progress being made there. But I'm with you. What I was going to rant about there was Mike Norvell was known for special teams. In his opening press conference, all he talked about was special teams, special teams. We got to practice every day, and they work on more special teams than I've ever seen any college team work on. How can that happen where the coaches are invested in this and they do it all the time in practice and be this bad? Because average teams, and this is an average to below average team, the way you win these close games, special teams. And you know how you lose close games? You do what you did today.
Yep.
You lose special teams, you lose the game. And that's what happened today.
Yeah, 9 penalties, 85 yards. Some of them legitimate, some not, but still. I mean, there's so many pre-snap penalties.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, we talk about it. You guys talk about it on Jeff Cameron's show. We talk about it on Wake Up Warchant and their podcast. This offense is not good enough to get behind the chains with the pre-snap penalties over and over again. That costs you 2 or 3 or 4 drives doing those. And again, that's just wasted opportunities. Not only, even if you didn't score on those, to flip field position a little bit, you couldn't do it because you couldn't convert a first down because you're behind the sticks.
Yep. Another thing I thought in this game, Gene, we could talk about the offense a little bit here, but, you know, it was apparent to Florida State's coaches clearly early on that the ground game was not going to work. And so they ran a lot of pro-style passing plays. I don't know how I feel about that, but they were in a position, again, to win the football game, given the way it was going back and forth. I thought this game screamed for more outside runs, more than up the middle stuff. But in general, the way this game started with the offensive line, it looked like it was going to take a little while for our boy DLT to get right. He ends up making a couple of big blocks later in the game down the field, but they were able to blow stuff up the middle. And Florida State, after what do you think it was, Gene, about 3-4 drives, said, the hell with it. We're just going to drop back and throw the ball.
I still don't like that. I thought they passed too many. And I know the run-pass ratio, when you look at the stats, is not legit because Jordan got sacked. I think he got sacked 6 times.
Yeah.
And had to take off running a lot of times. There was a lot of sacks if he got positive yards. But I thought there was too much passing because at the end of the day, look, I saw that you saw the end of that Pitt game. I did too. Clemson's defense can wear down.
Yep.
And my hope was this game was where it was in the fourth quarter. That's a 1-score game, and you've worn them out by running the football a lot. You know, maybe you change how you run the football, or even you go back to, you know, what they did a few weeks ago, and you do that short passing game kind of deal where it's a run. It's basically a pass, but it's a run. It's the same thing.
Right.
They got away from that. They brought Jordan back into the pocket to throw the ball, which is exactly Florida State's weakness. And to do that, I get it. Clemson was forcing you to do that, and you played their game. You should have figured out a way to not play their game.
Yeah, and I mean, Jordan made some nice throws. He did get through his progressions at times, and there is some growth there. You know, the one killer play on offense that you wish you could have over again is the shot play to Keyshawn Helton deep. He's open, and we just missed him by what? About a foot and a half, 2 feet. We appreciate contributions to the program, guys. You're all commiserating with us. We, even after a tough loss, there's a lot to like about where this football team is versus where it was at 0-4. And we appreciate your support here on the Warchant.com postgame show. Joshua, I agree. The refs, he contributed just a moment ago. The refs weren't the reason that we lost, but they were still terrible. I agree. FSU fan, 1993. Really, thank you so much. Our boy from St. Petersburg, thank you, Ingvar. We appreciate you. Khalil, thank you, good sir. The late hit call. Yeah, the thing I don't like about the late hit call, Khalil, or the late hit penalty is you put yourself in a position to get that flag thrown on you. It's also home sideline. You see that? I mean, it was a worse call against us.
When he leaves the guys in bounds, but when he hits them, he's out of bounds.
I don't think by the letter of the law it's a penalty, but it's just you don't want
to put it. It's a 50-50, but again, like you said, in those situations in the ACC, it's going to get called probably more often than not. It stinks. I don't like it. I don't know, but it is what it is.
Yeah, the excessive celebration call is nonsense. The Jerrion Jones PI call, I think, is actually worse than the Kevin Noles PI call. Both of those are trash. But again, if you're buttoned up on special teams and that missed,
it doesn't matter. Yeah,
that missed extra point hurt us too, Gene. Or else we could be driving to try and tie it. Maybe you call things a little bit differently.
The pre-snap penalties and the special teams, simple things you take care of, and all this other stuff that we're complaining about right now with the officiating and all this, it may be irrelevant.
Yeah, 96, I don't know. That's a game where Clemson dominated up front, and they were scrambling a little bit. I hear you on the screens. I think Jordan missed a few reads as well. I put one out at halftime. RG3 found the one that Pokey Wilson was wide open in the end zone. We ended up scoring on that drive anyway, but I think Jordan left a few plays out there. He certainly, I think we can agree on this, Gene. He didn't read the option as well as he did up at North Carolina. It was now
little different animal you're going against in Clemson.
Clemson blew some things up, and they had obviously an overload for both options were covered. Like sometimes there's just, you're going to lose.
And a better defensive coordinator that knew what they were doing.
Yeah, no doubt. But still, I think he left a few things out there. Yaki Gaddafi, I remember you from last week. Thank you so much. Yeah, our offense is one of the reasons. I'd still rank special teams number 1, but I hear you there. Let's field a freaking punt. There we go, Michael.
Yes, Michael, 100%.
100%. Thank you so much for saying that. That's our show for this evening. Goodbye. Catch the damn ball, please. And put somebody out there who will. Our old colleague.
They work on that. Look, a lot of times when those guys are doing the punts, sometimes the punts are not consistent. A lot of times they're short. Yep. And you gotta see it, go up and field it, call fair catch, or do whatever you got to do. But just sitting there every time and letting them get in front of you and let them bounce.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. It's like I think they've had so many mistakes on special teams, Tom. It's almost like they're afraid to touch the ball.
Yeah, it even starts with a kickoff. Yeah, the kickoff out of bounds, a miss at PAT. I think that they were coached up to take the ball at the 25-yard line. I was okay with that late kick return. You got to make something special happen. You're probably not going to drive the field against Clemson, but and it's not like it's not on Mike as well because he spends a ton of time on special teams. But I mean, good Christmas. We've been so bad, and we've been talking about this for a month. When you're trying to beat teams that have more talent than you, you got to do all the detail things right, and we certainly didn't. Do you want to see the highlights, Gene, before we go to the calls? We've got the
we got a couple more here. Let's get a couple of these. We got Andre Lamar Ransom.
Wow.
Yes, less confident we're going to make. I thought, you're right. If they pull that, hold on and win this game, I think you're going bowling.
Yeah. He's still confident that we can make a bowl. I don't
know about that.
That means you got to win 3 in a row, probably. Although, who knows? Maybe Florida quits. They got blown out by
what was the final on that one? I didn't see the final.
I thought last I saw it was 35-7. Let me take a look.
Oh, Florida did finally score, darn it, because I know they kicked that field goal to prevent the shutout.
Yeah,
34. It was funny that they missed it. I was hoping they get shut out.
Yeah, that's they haven't been shut out since like 88. 34-7 is the final.
Okay.
34-7. Randall, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Oh, Christopher Skelfo. That's our guy from San Diego. Thank you so much. I just enjoyed one of your light beers today, Christopher. Thank you, man. Hopefully we see you in town here pretty soon. Gabriel is open.
Oh,
that's okay.
I was gonna get R. Wilmer in there for $20. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
You had one other?
Or ma'am. Gabriel. Yeah. Thank you so much. The first time we've ever been in that environment, elite defense. I'm not too mad at the amount of passes. Yeah, that's a tough situation when you're just getting outgunned at the trenches. You got to try and do something. Gene, I agree with you. I don't know if I would have done it that way, but That's
I would have figured out. I know it's frustrating to keep running and to keep getting pounded. You got to be a little bit creative with the run, but I think going again, you don't have the receivers, you don't have the quarterback that can do it. They're forcing you to go with your weakness. I don't like doing that on a road against a tough opponent. I would have figured out another way, but I get it. Clemson was daring you to do that.
Yeah, no doubt. Special teams was killer. We know that. We've documented the hell out of that. Ingvar, don't pay attention to the result. I don't know. That's hard to do, but
yeah.
I don't think that the team necessarily took a huge step back today, Gene. Would you say that?
No. It was effectively, it was a 4-point loss on the road at Clemson. Mm-hmm. You were leading midway into the fourth quarter. You had a chance to win it. You screwed up a couple things, but at the end of the day, you went toe-to-toe on the road against Clemson for a team that a month ago was 0-4.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought was the worst team in all of FBS that you got to this point, that you were that competitive. Yeah. I mean, I think Florida State's come far enough that I don't feel good about it like we did against Notre Dame. You felt good being that close. I think at this point you're like, I don't feel good about it, but it's not a step back. It's kind of like you treaded water, is my opinion for this Saturday.
Yeah, we expected to be in the game, and we were in the game. And we had a chance to close it out and win the game. It's a lesson for the guys and what not to do down the stretch. And there's some things that we can tighten up in all phases. But, it's just, if you expected to be in a low-scoring dogfight, that's exactly where we were. I thought it was interesting that this game got to 30 total points really fast. It was 17-13 early. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? Are we going to be playing a game where you got to score 34, 37 points to win?
It definitely settled down.
It went. I mean, that third quarter was just bad. There was not a whole lot of movement of the football. Let's take a look at Eric.
One more. You got to go with our Eric Angel, one of the pillars. When the pillar speaks, people listen.
Absolutely. We're hoping things are okay up in Cincinnati for you, my man. And Kevin as well. Kevin, my goodness, folks, thank you so much. So I think judging by the people in the chat, the numbers of people that are tuning in right now to the Warchant.com postgame show, Gene, most everybody feels upbeat in the long term, just disappointed for tonight. I think that's where we are. So let's take a look at Florida State's 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, let's do it. Here, guys, we're going to have some highlights here for you.
So here they are. They're lining up at the goal line. And what was interesting about this, Gene? In this moment I'm watching, I'm saying it can't be a sneak because these days in college football,
I love this play because look what they've got. This is not your usual because look who's out there, Tom. You want to point to those guys. Who's number 4? That is your huge tight end. That's effectively an offensive lineman out there.
Yep, Jordan
That's
Wilson.
What I love about it. And you've got Corbin. So you got a running back there, not a little wide receiver. That's a big running back there. So I love this formation.
I'm assuming there's an alert here for a sneak if they fan out, but you've got the numbers advantage up top here.
The box is stacked, so you're not going in there.
Yeah, usually, especially in college football, you want that Reggie Bush push. So that's why I thought it's probably not the first read to sneak it here because you want a guy behind you to kind of help the cause and get you in the end zone. Once you see it stacked, RG3 did a good job of breaking this down the broadcast. You got a 3-on-2 up top.
Yep.
And that's what they take advantage of. It's an easy read, easy breezy throw.
And look at that, Jordan Wilson he gets just enough of the guy.
Got just enough. He got it initially.
That wasn't the best block in the world, but he only needed a yard.
That was Spectre that shed, but when you need a yard, we got the yard. We're on the board at that point. We're up 7-3. That was our first lead over Clemson since Dalvin Cook's touchdown in 2016.
Wow.
Dear Christmas, that's bad. But we were up at that point, and at this point, watch this play.
Here it is, guys.
That's a great throw from Jordan on a rail route. Here we go. Watch this. Whoop! Oh, stay alert, young man. Stay alert.
Tip-toe-a-feely. And I got to give RG3 credit on that one. Tip-toe-a-feely.
We got to run that back.
Awesome. Yes, let's see that one again. That was good.
Oh, nice. Let's run it twice. So, Gene, we talked about this route with Toafili last
week. Wheel route, man. That's awesome.
That was on the mesh. He ran that little rail, wheel, whatever you want to call it. And he was the one who was lead blocking for Malik McLean. Well, this time they call his number. They get the matchup. There's a bit of a mix-up here, and 42 gets caught against the secondary guy, so it gives you an extra step because of the collision. And there he goes. I just love the awareness here. He's an aware football player.
Yeah, and keep going.
Stay up, tiptoe, use your strength. Now, the bad news for Lawrence Toafili, and we hope he's okay, that was the player that was down at the end of the football game. If you watch this to the very end, everybody, we'll run that play in just a second. But if you watch this game to the very end, Florida State coaches and trainers were attending to a player on the field. on that final play, and it was Lawrence Toafili. So we certainly hope that there's nothing serious that was suffered on a gadget nothing play. That would be a real shame. And we know that Lawrence Toafili's father actually is a follower of Warchant. So, Mr. Toafili, if you're out there,
we're hoping for the best, man. Quick recovery, whatever happened there.
Here was the legendary play. This would have gone down in FSU-Clemson lore should the Noles have come out victorious in this game. You needed a big play from your defense. You got an immense play from your defense. Here it comes from the top of the screen. Jermaine Johnson beats the right tackle.
Oh,
strip sack.
Score, baby.
He completed the hat trick there. It was his own sack, his own strip. He picks it up and scores the touchdown. That was an immense play. And look at the crowd here. They're absolutely
I love the Surrender Cobras. I mean, they hit a lot. I got to give the ESPN TV crew a lot of credits, man. There must have been at least a dozen Surrender Cobras during the day, even when Clemson's ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, and on that play, unfortunately, the flag for the unsportsmanlike conduct, put that in your pocket, guys. What the hell is wrong with you?
And he was like, I love when they showed the replay of that, and the guy was just waiting. He's like, he had his hand on his flag before anything even happened. He's like, I can't wait to throw this flag.
Yeah.
He was so excited. Florida State scored. Screw that. Take that.
Yeah, and that play was helped by a twist up front. Actually, if you see the beginning of that play, it's Keir Thomas and Jermaine Johnson are lined up next to each other. You're like, ooh, something nice. Goofy's going on there. They run a twist up the middle, but Jermaine he wins his block at the end. Gene, anybody stand out to you? If I said, like, who stood out to you today on either side of the ball, offense or defense, in a good way, maybe somebody you were surprised by, what's the first name that pops into your head tonight?
That's the thing. There's nobody. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, Toafili had that crazy ass play, but I mean, that stood out to me. I mean, I got to look at some of the defensive stats. I mean, there's a couple guys that played well there.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're not having access to our defensive stats right now. There's a play here or there on defense that I really liked. Those guys are physical at times up front. I didn't like the Shipley kid had a big day, and there was some poor tackling on him, but at other times there's really nice penetration in the backfield, and I like what I saw there. I can't say there's a standout in this game. There's a lot of solid players across the board. It would have been, if I had FSU won, I would have said Jermaine Johnson, because that would have been the play of the season.
Oh, that's still an amazing play, and good for him. I'm happy for him that it happened, but nobody feels worse than he does.
That might make him some money, though.
Oh, I think it certainly will. I think that increased his earning potential for next year. Two players I thought played well. The Shipley run aside, there was some bad tackling on that play, but it was just a herky-jerky finish. Akeem Dent came up, tackled in space very well today. He was physical. Even on that first series for Clemson, he broke down Shipley in the open field, made a tackle, made a couple other plays like that. Yeah. And then Amari Gaynor had a pretty good day too.
That's true, and I've been hard on Amari, but he had a real nice day today.
On a day in which Deloach and Lundy were god-awful in the first half, I mean, Clemson knew what it was doing. And we've talked about this openly all week long, that, if you're trying to create a matchup on offense for Clemson, you want to isolate against Florida State's linebackers. They had a rough second quarter, and, a real bad second quarter. Made a couple of plays down the stretch. But Amari, he's getting better. I don't know how good he's going to be. He might just be a classic tweener, but I thought he had a decent day. What do we think, Gene?
We want to look at the stats here real quick before we take calls. Stat broadcast is working. Got that back up.
Oh, it is?
So, okay. Yeah, I got it to pull back up. So
give me just a moment.
I got to say, just looking at the stats real quick, and I did see him flash a couple times. Keir Thomas.
Yep.
2.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks. That's pretty good. Six tackles on the day. That's very impressive.
Yeah, you want the defense? I'll pull up the defense.
Yeah, let's pull those guys up, because we got to give those guys some. I mean, for the most part. I mean, Lundy led FSU in tackles.
Yeah, he still had a rough day, but the good job there to get, rack up the 11 tackles.
Yeah.
Oh, 9? I didn't know he had 9 tackles. I thought he played well. I didn't know he was that active. Let's see. Tackles for loss. It accounted for 11 total. Some of those are shared, but they did a decent job stopping the run. There was a sequence towards the end of the first half, Gene, where Clemson's offense was rolling, and it was doing enough damage that I was texting with Jeff, and the comment was, we just need to get our asses to halftime. Get to halftime because this is falling apart fast. But they came out and responded in the second half, did a good job for the most part. I know Shipley's run is going to be the one that's put on television a whole bunch, but they did a good job of neutralizing Clemson on the ground.
Wasn't that was Lundy?
Yep.
Marlowe was asking that.
On yeah, that was Lundy on the late hit out of bounds. Yeah, again, you can argue about whether to the letter of the law it's a penalty. It's just putting yourself in that situation is really tough. Let's take a look at the basics here. Yeah, on offense. Yeah, Jordan, 16 runs for -4 because of the sacks.
Ooh,
that's a killer.
Yeah.
Corbin only 9 totes on the day, 5 for Trayshawn Ward and 4 for
See,
Tote.
to me, that's just not enough. You can't have your running backs.
Yeah.
That's not enough carries.
Yeah, your run pass splits are 34. I mean, that's not the ratio we're looking for. They told us last week, Gene, when they could pretty much do whatever they wanted against UMass. How would you devise an ideal run pass option split?
Yeah.
It was 3-1 to the run. Today, it's not even 2-1 to the run. And
how many of those 16 Jordan Travis runs? How many were those design runs or what he decided to run?
He was more tentative to cut it loose and run it today.
Yeah.
I know he got taught a lesson late in the game where he got hit on a first down. I think it was that 1st and 15 play. But he had his eyes down the field. Clearly, he thought he was going to make more plays down the field.
But my point is, maybe 6 of those were actual runs.
Yeah,
where he was trying to. That was the purpose to run. So I mean, those were pass again. That's not.
Yep,
it's not what you want.
Yeah, Maffa had a big run. We had that 63-yard run for Clemson to key one of their scoring drives. Otherwise, he was bottled up. He 8 carries for 6 yards. Nice job. Yeah. Shipley's a really good player. He broke out on a couple of plays, but, again, outside of that bad sequence towards the end of the second quarter, I thought we did okay on the ground. And DJ made a couple of good throws. He made some terrible decisions, some awful ones, like the throwing into double coverage on the Amarian Cooper interception. Good for Amarian Cooper. But he was some good, some bad. But they had more positive plays in the passing game, Gene, today than I saw in either the Pitt or the Syracuse game, where things were in rhythm and the ball was on time. So
but I think they were giving you that. I think that was kind of like, we're going to give up some of those because that's your weakness. If you get a few plays there, fine. And I will, if you go to the team stats, what I do like there, if you look at that, third down conversions, I mean, to stop Clemson converted 4 out of 14 third downs, I'll take that every time. That's awesome. That's what you want to do. Yep. So that was a really good sign by the defense. But, you go down the bottom, you got sacked 6 times.
Yeah.
And I don't know penalties on there, but I think penalties were 9. I
don't see 85 yards. There they are, right there.
Yeah. So 9 penalties. You can't. That's just. You lose special teams. You lose penalties. You're on the road against a semi-quality opponent. You're not going to win. You're not good enough to overcome that.
There you go. There's the important number as we're talking about Jordan Travis stats. So sack adjusted rush yards. We're under 4 a carry. Under 4 a carry, and only 100 yards total. If you told me that we only had 106 yards sack adjusted on the ground, I think we lose by probably 2 to 3 scores. And this game was actually a 1-score game in reality, save for that final goofy play. I think we lose by 17 to 20 points. And in this case, it was a 1-score game because we hit a couple of chunk plays, which they've been able to do consistently. But damn it, man, Gene, you have the lead with 5 minutes to go, and you don't finish the job.
Nope.
Now, of course, this is the Warchant.com postgame call-in show.
Yes.
So it's time to get to the phone lines. Our first caller of the night, waiting over 20 minutes already in Amarillo, Texas. Is this Wilson Lemieux? What's going on, Wilson? You're hearing the bell right now. You're on the Warchant.com postgame show.
Hot dang, Tom Lang. We lost it again, brother.
Yeah.
We lost it again, man. So here's the thing. I don't know if I should be upset or not, right? I think that's kind of like most of the fans at this point. It's like, hey, we didn't get our head kicked in, but we let Clemson score more than they had on anybody all year. But our defense looked great in the second half. Here's the thing. I didn't expect to win. The game probably looked exactly like I think a lot of us probably expected it to. Those frustrating things that keep us from winning. What I'm concerned about now more so than anything else is, okay, what's momentum look like going into this next 3-game, 4-game series? And I think that there's a real chance that we could lose all of them, the same as win all of them. I think they're all going to be toss-ups. And then thinking about the momentum on the recruiting trail, man, like, how do you guys feel about keeping Hunter and the rest of kind of that all-star class 2022? And how do we feel about the future after today? I guess that's the big question I have.
All right. Gene, what do you think? Does this, stunt any momentum on the recruiting game, do you think?
No, I think it's a wash. I don't think Florida State was a 10-point underdog, and I guess technically they lost by 10 if you want to go by the letter of that. But they played a lot more competitive than that. You went on the road at Clemson. You had the lead with 5 minutes left in the game. How is this going to hurt you?
Yep.
Now, I think on the opposite side, if you would have held on and won, then I think, yes, you would have had more momentum. It absolutely doesn't affect Jordan Travis. It does. Travis Hunter. It doesn't affect Duffy or any of the other guys. I think everything's the same. But the next couple of games are very important. NC State, Miami. Like you said, I think that's a good point. We have no idea what's going to happen. It's a coin flip, both of them. They could go either way. So I do think you need to keep doing what you're doing and be competitive, maybe win one or both of those games. I think that'll help you a lot, establishing that momentum, helping the recruiting class. What you don't want to do is take a step back. You didn't take a step back today. I think, like I said, you treaded water. You're fine. You played well enough to win. You made a couple mistakes, special teams, penalties, whatever. You didn't pull it out. It happens. But it's nothing to get upset about or nothing to get too excited about.
Yeah, what I love about the defense in this game is as it got to the more important moments, the defense stepped up and did more and more and more. That last score from Clemson is largely on,
that was penalties,
30 yards of penalties. But you need to make a play because the offense was completely bottled up. And we had a good comment from one of our commenters here in the live chat who was also a contributor. It's a tough day for Trayshawn Ward. That fumble after we had the fumble recovery, that first play back, I mean, that reminded me of the Wake Forest moment early in the game where Jashaun Corbin fumbled after we had an interception. One play later, you give it right back. That's tough, man. That's a tough thing to take. But the defense stood up as this game got into its more decisive moments. They get you the score directly, and then they get a stop with a big sack on third down on the very next drive. I love to see that. For me, I know that Clemson scored late in the game, Gene, but to me, that's a defense finishing a football game on a high note and getting better as the game goes along. That's the positive thing. My concern, and where I agree with Wilson, is that, the next 3 games, 3 of the next 4 games, I think we'll be okay against BC, are all losable. Like, yes, it's a coin flip to win them.
Yeah.
You get one of them. I think at that point we can talk about momentum, but today, you're neutral. You can even sell that in a positive way. You can spin that in a positive way and say, look how close we were. Look how many more athletes they have than we do, and yet we had the lead with 5 minutes to go. What the hell is their problem? That's how I would spin it today if I'm talking to this recruiting class. We go to Inverness next. Oh, my goodness. Shuffling the phone. John in Inverness, what's going on? Welcome to the Warchant Postgame Show.
What's going on, fellas? How you doing?
Hey, John.
Go for it.
Good. Well, listen, man, I think, it seems as if we get in these games, and before it ever happens, I actually talked to a friend of mine. He's actually a Gator fan, poor guy, but I talked to him, and he said, listen, I told him about that stat. Clemson hadn't scored 20 points, all year, and I said, listen, if they're going to do it against anybody, it's going to be against Florida State. And that's just the way that these games go for us. But I think we played great when we needed to. I was a little concerned. We seemed to deviate away from what our bread and butter was. And I know you guys talked about it a little bit with Travis dropping back and looking to pass more than the run games. The previous call really took what my question was about, does a game like this, does it affect recruiting in a positive or negative way, or is it just kind of a wash, and you guys kind of address that? So I'll change my question up, and my question is this now at this point. Is there value in since Travis is so good with the RPOs, is there value in also starting to incorporate an option, just a straight back option? And we got 2 great backs back there, and maybe adding another element to our attack. That's the question, gentlemen. I appreciate you always taking the call. Thank you, and try to recover as I do over the next 24 hours here.
Thank you, John. Well, Tom Lang of the Third and Lang fame, and I will do, since you don't want to self-promote, I will tell people, check out, it's a great feature on Warchant, and Tom breaks down some of the X's and O's of Florida State football every week, and so check it out on warchant.com. But Tom, John had asked about incorporating the option. I don't know. I think the RPO is enough of an option there. I mean, that's part of the whole thing. I don't know if you need to incorporate the true, going back to Nebraska style option offense in this whole, and I don't think you want to put Travis in that situation to take more hits either, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I think we already run an option offense of sorts. It's the read option and there's RPO stuff. In some cases, there's 3 options on a play. It's a triple option with a throw. I understand what you're saying. Frankly, I thought this week that we'd see more speed option stuff, because the way I saw the game, Clemson's defense the past couple of weeks, Gene, is that they're more apt to give up stuff on the ground on the perimeter than they are between the tackles. That's how Syracuse was able to gash them for a couple of big plays, was to get the edge on Clemson. And you saw there were a couple instances today where they were lined up wrong. And that was something that they remarked on in the game. I believe it was Dabo Swinney's comments at halftime to Quint, who was on the call for ESPN. It was our alignment's off in some situations. And when you're going to be outgunned in the trenches, I thought we'd see speed options to the perimeter, more outside zone type runs, but they mostly did what they did, which is the pulling action and some inside cutbacks. They're trying to generate those. I just thought we caught a lot of blocks today rather than delivering and driving. We were kind of catching guys right in the backfield, and I think that's what short-circuited it. And then by the fourth or fifth drive, we decided to become a drop-back passing offense, and that's really tough to do against a team like Clemson if you're good at it. And we're not good at it. But, I mean, Pitt had all they could handle and more, and Kenny Pickett's a really good college quarterback dropping back and trying to make throws. I thought Jordan was okay in that regard, but, it's just that's a tall task. And
that's a great point. You got to look at the end of the day. We know Clemson has an elite defensive line. They do what they do, and it looked like it's funny when I noticed it on TV when you put the replays up earlier. It seemed like they were really packed. That box was stacked. You are not running between the tackles.
Right.
And there's like you said, the speed option or doing something outside the perimeter. There's an option. You don't have to always run between the tackles. When they're packing that thing in and you've got some speedy guys, find a way to get to the outside and break them down that way. You know what happens? You do that a couple times, you break off a play or two. Suddenly they're not going to be as packed in anymore. And then you can go ahead and do some in between the tackle stuff. Right. Yeah. I don't know if this was Kenny Dillingham's best game calling the play, because I think the caller pointed out, look, we abandoned the run too much instead of coming up with look, I get it. Between the tackles, it wasn't working, but there are different ways to skin the cat there. I just don't think they explored enough of those options, and immediately went back to going into look, Brent Venables is an elite defensive coordinator. He knew what he wanted to make Florida State do. He wanted to get them out of their comfort zone, and we fell right into the trap. And we did exactly what they wanted Florida State to do, and it's the weakness, and ultimately that's probably why they won the game.
Yeah, I thought maybe there'd be a little bit more perimeter screens as well, too. There was the one time where both Keyshawn and Cam they turned a guy loose, and it was McLean and Cam maybe. We got somebody killed on a quick bubble, but there were some opportunities to do that, I think, as well. Open looks that maybe Jordan turned down. The one thing that I'm probably most disappointed about today on offense is if I'm Jordan Travis, especially after the first quarter, and I realize that we're not going to win those battles in the trenches, if I have a chance and I have a moment to get downhill and take off and go full speed, I'm going to do so. Like in the grand scheme of trying to grow a quarterback, it's nice that your eyes are down, looking down the field, and you're trying to make a play at all times, and you're looking for a chunk. But God gave you those legs, man. You use them, turn loose. And there were so many times he was timid approaching the line of scrimmage, trying to make a play with his arm. And I was thinking, dude, take the 8 yards in front of you with your legs. But he also made some throws too. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And Clemson was just a little bit better today. We now go to Virginia Beach. It's Gator Kirk. What's going on, Gator?
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you guys doing despite the loss?
Hanging in, all things.
We're all good, Gator. Thanks, buddy. How you doing?
I'm a little miffed that we couldn't finish at the end. Hopefully, we will take this and use it as motivation to win our next 3. We had it in our hands, and even though sometimes it looked like we were playing against 12, we didn't take advantage of the opportunities we had when we had them early in the game or late in the game.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Yeah. There were certainly times around the line of scrimmage it seemed like they had 12 on the field, Gator. When you're running that read option stuff and you see that they've got everything accounted for, and when we're doing the games, or watching the games from our home, I've got a second feed up on my computer because I'm pulling some of the video highlights. So that gives me the opportunity to see plays twice. When Jordan gives it in a read option, I'm like, well, was he covered? Should he have given that? And Brent loaded up the line of scrimmage really well. The one thing I'd say, we also make them look faster today a little bit, Gator, because a lot of the runs that we called were long developing runs. I mean, that works against a lot of opponents. Hell, it worked against Notre Dame where the ball snapped, here you go. There's about a tick or two before we make a decision. But against Clemson, if they're going to be that much better than you in the trenches, you're just asking to get hit in the backfield. Yeah. You got to hit that line of scrimmage with speed. You got to run. That's the only thing you could do against a defensive line that's better than you. You got to run right at them and hope that they are just too aggressive and they vacate a lane and you hit it. The more time you take to dilly-dally like a Le'Veon Bell type run, the more trouble you're going to be in, and that's what we found ourselves in today.
Yeah, that's a good point. Look, I think it was funny. I saw earlier on the week on the Tribal Council, Warchant.com, a lot of people saying this is just a bad matchup for Florida State's offense because of specifically what you're talking about when they dominate you that much in the trenches. And this is a team, Georgia, who won, what'd you say, 35-7 today?
34-7. Yep.
34-7. Sorry, they scored 10 points.
Yeah.
On this team.
Yep.
This is the number one team in the nation. This is a really good defense. They're fast. They're dominating the middle. They got 5 stars all over the place. They're really good. Yep. Florida State is a finesse offense. They do the RPO. They do the read option. They're trying to get people off balance, and they've got a couple really good running backs and a very mobile quarterback. But, man, when you're dominated up front, it's very difficult to consistently move the football. Now, we have our criticisms of some things they could have done differently to negate this, but at the end of the day, it was a tough matchup for Florida State. Florida State's offense at this stage, they don't have the offensive linemen. They don't have the wide receivers to keep Clemson honest, nor the quarterback to throw the ball down the field. So it's a tough situation for Florida State. They still, even with all that, they were in a position to win the game late. And
that's the thing, Gina. I keep coming back to, if you're trying to be positive about tonight, think of how many more weapons and how many more, ingredients in the cupboard, in the pantry that Clemson has. And yet here we are down the stretch and you've got a lead. You just want the offense and the special teams to be able to finish like the defense did today. That's the thing that stings. It's just, they put you in a position. The defense put us on their back at the end of the game and said, we're going to go deliver this win. All you got to do is ... And we didn't finish that sentence with anything good. It was rough. We go to a usual caller, a frequent caller here. It's Josh in New York. Josh, what's going on this week? How are you, all things considered, sir?
I think I'm okay. There's like you just said, man, there's like a lot of, with all the weapons they had in their cupboard, we didn't have enough. You saw it. What Clemson did to us, honestly, was take away the thing that we are really good at, and they attacked the things that we're not good at. So, like, for instance, I felt like our linebacking core, and I don't like singling guys out, but my man Lundy, he was trying to shoulder guys to the ground a lot.
Yeah.
And it wasn't happening. Even that last call didn't really bother me. That's one. And then, they try to make us throw the ball early, and, our wide receivers were not, I don't think they were getting separation early either. But I do see some positives. That Jordan pass to Keyshawn Helton, I'm a 49er fan, so that kind of reminded me of Jimmy G missing Emmanuel Sanders. That was the game right there. But I think we're going to be fine. I'm not that I saw Miami play earlier. Not that afraid of them, because defensively they give up everything. And I think that we can scare them just enough on offense. But I think for the rest of the year, I think we have a chance. I think we have a chance to really, end the year off right and, go. I'm not going to say the B word bowling, because I've been fancying myself as a pinstripe poppy, but I think we have a chance to end the year right. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the chances are going to be there. These are winnable games in front of us on the schedule. If you come out of this game relatively healthy, again, we'll check on Lawrence Toafili. That's something for the pregame show, Gene. We were on Dylan Gibbons' watch the whole time with me and Jeff before this game kicked off, and Dylan Gibbons was in there. You didn't really notice him one way or the other, which is good. That means he was relatively healthy.
And hopefully he's even healthier for next week. And they're going to need him against Miami, against NC State down the stretch here to win those games. And I think that's a good – again, we talk about this bad matchup. And Josh pointed out, Miami, and I think in both NC State, I think Florida State can do what they do well against those teams. They can run the football, they can run the RPO, the zone read, and you see how bad Miami is in some of those games against the run. So, you dedicate to the run against Miami by the fourth quarter. Hopefully you're gashing them in a close game running the football. So this is, again, I think this was a bad matchup for Florida State. I'm relatively positive down the stretch, but man, it makes it interesting because they are coin flips.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen. They could win 3 in a row. Would not surprise me. 3-4 in a row wouldn't surprise me. If they lose 3-4 in a row, it wouldn't shock me either.
Yeah, the thing I'd say about that is, if you're going to win coin flips, win hidden yardage, please. Let's get a hell of a lot better. For all the repping we do as special teams, we look like ass. We look like we never do it.
If you could just right now, Tom, you would say you would just watch. You would think you'd okay. The remainder thing, you go, you're even on special teams.
Yep. Yes.
I mean, I think you're at least splitting what's left. At least if you could just at least go 50-50 on special teams. Don't lose special teams every week.
Jesus, with those 3 punts, we gave up 50, 60 yards of field position there. That's just inexcusable. That's got to change. And again, I like JP as a coach, and I think he belongs on the staff. But if we got to find a new voice for special teams, find the damn new voice. It's too much. We're going out to Colorado now with Kyle.
Oh, my boy, my man.
What's up, Kyle?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Just got a question to put us kind of back into perspective of special teams. I know we're getting bad on our guys pretty good right now, but keep in mind, Clemson missed 3 makeable field goals and didn't even kick the last extra point. So that's 10 points they could have put on us, giving them 40 when they've averaged half that the entire year. It seems every.
I don't count the last touchdown. Come on now, Kyle.
What's that?
I would the last touchdown. No, they would. That's nonsense. That last touchdown, we don't even count that.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's just, it could have looked a lot worse than what it did.
Yeah.
The last touchdown could have got piled on, but I mean, literally, they could have hung 40. Even the last touchdown was garbage, but they could have. But I just feel like every quarterback has their best game against us. Shipley got his personal best game against us, and the lack of composure on defense kind of showed up late. We got a lot of penalties where our cornerbacks were in phase but didn't turn their head to find the ball, which lead to all kinds of pass interference penalties. And I just feel like when the game is on the line, our defense kind of wilts a little bit. They play very, very strong and very, very good defense. And then when it's really on, the heat's on, and we need them to step up, they fold a little bit. And I wonder if that's like a culture thing we're trying to change, or if it's just players not being in the right position, or if it's just they're not ready for that kind of challenge yet.
Well, let me ask you this, Kyle. I mean, the scoop and score and then the sack on the 3 and out after that drive, I mean, wouldn't you consider that growth, though? Wouldn't that be the positive?
Absolutely, but that's also coming from guys that we just brought in from other programs that are going to be gone next year. I'm very happy with the way they played 90% of the game, but I feel like the 10%, like the 10%, the squeak that gets the oil, I feel like that's the end of the game when it's like, we need this stop. We need you. Our offense can't move the ball. Can you please, step up and get us one more stop with 3 minutes left? And we couldn't do it. And I'm not saying the defense is terrible. Fire Adam Fuller. I'm not at that level yet. I think we're showing marked improvement, and we're a better football team than we were 4 weeks ago. But I feel like that's the last step to get us to a point where we can be winning games versus Clemson instead of losing by 10.
Yeah, we'll agree to disagree on that one. The offense needs to finish the game there. I thought the defense did enough to finish the game. Now, the trend of quarterbacks playing their best against us, I agree with you there, Kyle, 100%. That gets annoying after a little while. But Clemson's got better athletes than we do outside on the perimeter, and those penalties kill us. There might be a BS quality to them, but on the Kevin Noles one, don't get beat off the line of scrimmage that bad. If DJ throws the ball where it should be, it's a rainbow touchdown over the top, and Kevin's in trail by 5 to 10 yards. I would caution and say, if you're asking the defense to finish, they did tonight twice. They scored you a touchdown to take the lead themselves, and then they get you off the field with 5 minutes to go. You pick up 2 or 3 first downs right there, the ball game is over, and the defense would be the reason that we're all celebrating right now. I hear you on some points, but I thought the defense finished today. What do you think, Gene?
Yeah. Look, I think Kyle has some point. A couple little things you do. Look, and on the broadcast they pointed it out on the Noles interference. Look, if he turns his head just a little bit at the end, maybe I never know in the ACC because it changes all the time. You never can figure out what's a penalty and what isn't. But the point was made. Turn your head a little bit. Take the decision out of the way of the official. It wasn't a pass interference. It was called one, but I think if his head turns a little bit at the ball, it's really hard for the official to call that. And the same thing with Lundy. Look, you've seen this time and time again with Florida State. You can't touch a guy anywhere near the out-of-bounds marker. You're going to get called for it. So he has a point. Some little things like that could be cleaned up on defense. But you're absolutely right. Florida State got the scoop and score. They got the stop. All they did was move the ball a little bit on offense, get a couple first downs, and the game's over.
Yeah.
The offense did not come through. Clemson's defense at the end of the game owned Florida State's offense. Between that and the special teams blunders, that was the difference at the end. So I blame special teams 1, offense 2, defense 3 in that whole scenario. Because a couple of those defensive things are minor. That can be cleaned up. But the other things are a bigger hole, a bigger glaring problem in my mind than what the defense did down the stretch.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't see how Clemson gets to 40 today either, but I do agree that 30 is about the number with the missed kicks. 30 is about a fair number, and Clemson has not broken.
Sure, if they did everything perfect, they get 30.
Right.
Okay. If Florida State does everything, they don't get all the penalties, all the other nonsense too. I mean, you can say if this happens, Florida State gets 30.
On paper, they should be better than us by 24 to 30 points minimum. And Florida State was in that game that had a lead. Speaking of paper, as I create my own segue, we have a sponsor of this program that we have yet to mention, but we love them very much, and their name is Team Paper. TeamPaper.com. What is Team Paper? It's a website created in the era of NILs to connect you to your favorite athletes. At teampaper.com, you'll find personalized videos made by your favorite players just for you, their fans. You'll learn their personal backstories, hear motivational tips, maybe some drills that help them get better at their craft, and more. It's sort of like a digital yearbook. So if you want to get your yearbook right now, you could support FSU athletes directly by heading to teampaper.com. Getting the Tallahassee bundle, you can use code WARCHANT when you check out to get $10 off. But again, folks, maybe that's a discount you don't want to take, because 80% of every dollar you spend with teampaper.com goes directly to the players. And it's not about star players. It's about the team. What's really cool, too, coming up at teampaper.com, they're expanding Gesundheit beyond the football team. That was, Gene, I sneezed like 50 times last night. I had an allergy issue last night.
I don't have a button. I was looking for that button to do it. Sorry, go ahead.
The cough button. At teampaper.com, they're expanding even more, Gene. They got basketball. They got softball coming up. You name it, they do it at teampaper.com. 80% of every dollar goes right to the players. It's allowed now. You can pay players. You know what? They're sacrificing a lot. So head to teampaper.com, use code WARCHANT to support Florida State athletes. We do have Mike Norvell, Gene, the postgame. Do we want to listen to that today, or we want to just move on? What do you think?
I don't know, guys. What do you think? You know what? We'll do a few minutes. We'll hear his introductory comments and a question or two. Let's go ahead and do that. Give us a chance to get me refilled, because I'm out of beer. So,
you know what?
So let's go ahead and do that.
All right. So we're going to head over right now. These are out.
We'll be back. We'll take your calls.
This is Mike Norvell speaking to the media. Let me make sure he's unmuted, and away we go.
You guys ready? All right. First off, congratulations to Clemson. Made plays down the stretch to win the game. Really proud of the heart that our guys showed, the way that they continue to battle. They're late, just too many mistakes. As a good defense we're going against, we really struggled there to consistently establish drives. We had some opportunities, but the negative plays, some of the penalties, being behind the chains, it's too much for us to overcome. And then they're down the stretch. Just like I said, self-inflicted. We got to give credit to them for what they did. But we got to continue to grow. We got to continue to learn. But our guys, they showed tremendous heart, tremendous fight. I am proud of this football team, but we got to play cleaner there, at the end. And at the end of the day, it's really disappointing. Questions?
I guess right now, what's just the most frustrating feeling about this game? You're proud of the team, but is it frustration that's kind of taking over right now for you after a game?
Yes, it's frustration when you lose a game, and the work that's gone in. The guys that we got a really good group of young men in there that have responded consistently. They work really hard, and we're building a foundation that is going to be sustained because of the guys and the willingness they have to continue to compete. Tonight showed up some mistakes that we've been staying away from, and it's frustrating when anytime that you come up short and it's so close. But we talked about it throughout the year. The margins between success and failure are so small, and that's where we have to continue to grow. And but I am proud of the Trent team. But yes, frustrated that we lost.
How tough is it? Their drive to reclaim the lead was two look like kind of borderline penalties to go for 15 yards for seven speed.
Yeah, well, I don't. I express my opinion at the moment, but If you have penalties, defensive penalties, 15-yard defensive penalties on drives, you usually put yourself in a challenging situation to stop people, and that's something that we've got to make sure that we continue to work that so that those things don't show up.
Does Kevin play the ball the way he's supposed to and talk to technically on that play?
Those are all calls that that they're judgment calls, and I thought Kevin fought for a good position. Trying to play the hands, at the moment, but it's a call that was made.
The effort of the defense, especially in the second half, to create turnovers, put you guys in position.
I thought, those guys, they battled, and we knew. You're playing one of the best defenses in the country. Really challenging here. On the road. There were some. We had guys that were just battling to be even out there on the field. But our defense. I thought they stepped up. It's to be able to get the touchdown, you force fumble, create the takeaways. I was really pleased with how they responded there in the second half, and it's unfortunate. They had some challenging situations. We tried to be aggressive in some situations. They just continued to rise to the call, but then there at the end, it was too much, and we gave up a play there at the end.
How are the guys handling just processing it so far?
They're disappointed. Obviously, it's just, I am grateful for the hearts that we have in that room. The minute the game was over with, you got guys that been here for a very short period of time. Man, they come up, tell me that they love me and are grateful for the work and the things that we're doing. We're going to respond. We know the stretch. We know the what's in front of us. Today was our opportunity, and we came up short. But these guys, as they've done throughout the course of this year, they're going to respond the right way. But it's so much investment, so much that we ask our guys to do. It's not just what you see on the football field; it's off the field. It's everything. We challenge them daily to put ourselves in the best position to be successful. And I think that's why you've seen us respond the way we've had through the middle part of the season. But in this moment, we have to continue to be better, and we will be.
They obviously did a really good job against your running game. How did Jordan play overall?
I thought Jordan, did some really good things. He was under duress at times tonight, and they did some things that were challenging. And we're never able to get the run game established, which is hard for us. And we got to a point where we were forced to kind of trying to we had some success throwing the ball, trying to keep that efficiency, but then you have a negative play or the pre-snap penalties that showed up that really haven't. Here these last few weeks, that puts you in challenging situations, and without being able to consistently run the ball, it was just it was difficult, and it's one of those things that we have to continue to grow and get better at.
How good was it to see the defense force some field goals? Clemson ended up missing some of those field goals.
Yeah, I thought our defense battled. It's backs against the wall. All the things that showed up throughout the game. Those guys. It was impressive, and to be able to force field goals. Sometimes they had short fields, but just continue to fight and battle, and just unfortunately came up a little short there at the end.
You're talking about Took Field's play.
Yeah, LT's really been coming along, and these last few weeks you see it in practice. He missed some time there earlier in the year, but you see the explosiveness that he has. He's really. I thought he had some really good runs. With the as a ball carrier, but then also obviously his pass receiving ability was incredible. That was one of the most incredible plays I've ever seen. Just for the balance and he's explosive. He's got to be a weapon for this team, and I'm excited about what his future is going to be. Just because the type of young man he is and the work that he puts in, coupled with the skill that he has.
On a couple of those punts, would you like Treshawn to go try to catch them? I know they're hard and their line drives and not kick right at them.
Yeah, those are. I thought they did a pretty good job of trying to spray it. That's where you get that balance. If you put yourself in jeopardy of if you don't feel comfortable of it. We want possession of the ball, but yeah, absolutely. And we're trying to field every ball that's punted. It's just one of those things that, like the last one, they rolled right and kicked back across. That was a good job by their guys, and we got to go get it. But it's all things that we're working. But in the moment, it was he made the decision that he didn't feel comfortable, and so we got to roll with that.
Yeah, I suppose that's them's the breaks. Gene, I'll let you unmute yourself. I think we both clicked the microphone at the same time there. But
there we go.
Mike was frustrated for sure with what was going on with the punt situation and not catching the football. You could tell he was frustrated even more.
Good.
With the call on Kevin Noles and some of the other calls that were made. He's just frustrated. But he got emotional there. He had to stop himself when he was talking about the heart of the team and the guys talking to him after the game. He believes in them. This is not coach speak. You could tell sometimes when coaches are saying the right things, but they don't really believe what they're saying. Mike loves that team. He loves that team for the way they've responded since halftime of the Louisville game. They played hard. Have they been good enough all the time? No. But we knew that. We knew they weren't good enough to win a lot of their games this year. But they do fight. They do compete. They just need to be rewarded with a couple of wins down the stretch here at minimum, Gene, to make sure that this thing doesn't fall back into the abyss.
Don't you think he probably sensed on that scoop and score and they get the stop, they were probably going to win this, and this was going to be a program-defining win for him on his tenure here, because if you win 4 in a row, you're rolling to Clemson, you beat them. At this point, you've turned around. You've got the biggest turnaround in college football, and you're probably on track to go bowling. You got a really good recruiting class coming in. You would have so much momentum going. You still may, but I think it's frustrating to him. You had it all right in front of you. You could see the finish line, and a couple things happened, with a call or whether you had whatever, some poor special teams play, whatever the reason was, you didn't get to cross that finish line because you could see it. It was that close in front of you. So I get the frustration. I'm glad he's frustrated because he realizes they're this close to turning a real corner for this program, but they're not quite there yet. They're close, but it's not there yet.
Yeah, we could all feel it. We were just like, just come on. It's 5 minutes to go. Come on, finished. And it just was not to be tonight. Waiting for almost an hour. We love you, man. Thank you so much for your patience. Gene and Ocala, we love you on this program. Gene, go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, Tom? What's going on, Gene? How you guys doing?
Hey, Gene.
Well, this one kind of hit in the stomach, didn't it?
Yeah.
All week long I was saying, I just want us to hang in there. I wanted to make it close. But then whenever you see the finish line right in front of you, you start wanting a little more of that cake. And it seemed like we just had it. I guess, my question or my comment or however you want to put it is just, offense built for playmakers, but offense should also be built to adjust to what's going on in front of you. I mean, whenever we played, I think it was Syracuse, they kind of spread it out and was throwing things to the perimeter, not worried about kind of a la what Dallas Cowboys did against Tampa Bay. I know I can't run against you, so I'm going to have to do other things to get outside. And it just seemed like they were just hitting their head up against a brick wall. I don't know what people are talking about the defense and everything, because defense that look like old Florida State, to where, we're going to sit here and we're going to do our thing. And I just need the offense to just help out. Appreciate you taking my call. You guys have a great one. And I'm, go Noles. We still, I think we still are putting some fear in some people's hearts on where we're at. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, Gene. And thank you, obviously, for your patience as you waited for nearly an hour in the caller line. We got some awesome callers here on the Warchant.com postgame show. Yeah, I think their adjustment, Gene, was to bail on the run and go to the pass. That was their adjustment. This ain't working, so we got to do some other stuff here. We've seen when this offense, Gene Williams, not to get you confused with the caller, we've seen when this offense is rolling, you see the potential for how it does isolate matchups. But, just because we're 2 months into the season and we've got 4 games to go or 5 games to go, whatever it is, just because that we're turning the page to November on Monday, it doesn't mean that things have changed with the roster from way back in August. The receivers aren't good enough here just yet. The linebackers aren't good enough just yet. And there's a ceiling with your quarterback. He's more of a gadget player who can do some nice things at times, but there is a hard ceiling with Jordan Travis as your quarterback. And those things all presented themselves today. And that's where I'd say hang tight on the offense built for playmakers thing. And for what explosive elements there could be in this offense. We just need to hold it together to get the players in here who can run it at a higher level. And there was a limitation to what could have been accomplished today. I thought we had enough in the tank, and Clemson has been failing enough that we could have won this ball game, and we damn near did. But I would just hold off on making too many sweeping judgments about the offense just yet.
Yeah,
because of what they've done the last few weeks. They're making lemonade, man, with not much in the way of lemons.
I think that's the way. Yeah, it's fair to be critical. There were some mistakes made, I think, offensively, some things you could have done differently. I think we all agreed they gave up on the run or could have come up with more creative ways instead of having Jordan Travis drop back in the pocket play after play after play. Because you do have some severe limitations. But that being said, they're just you have a below average offensive line. They're better than they were last year. They're not great, and you have not a great wide receiver core at all. If you could have one or two game breakers back there, it changes what Clemson does defensively. Even with a below average passing quarterback, if you got some guys, if Travis Hunter is all we think he is, and he's a game breaker out there, it can take short passes, intermediate passes, and make the defense pay for it. It puts fear in them. All of a sudden, they're backing up a little bit, and they're like, uh-oh, we better respect this. And it can open up things so that you don't need to have an elite passing quarterback.
Right.
If he can run well and you can have you're strong in some other areas. The problem is you have a couple good running backs and you have a running quarterback. You just don't have anything else on offense. And a good defense with a good defensive coordinator is going to scheme up a way to take you out of your comfort zone. And that's what Venables did in this game. Again, there's some things for us they could have done differently, but at the end of the day, it's tough when you've got one hand tied behind your back, which Florida State effectively does offensively.
Yeah, and it just, plainly speaking, the commenter said it. We wiped it on full screen just a moment ago, but Jordan didn't have his best day either. Multiple things can be true at the same time. Coaching staff had their best day. I don't know if it was their best. It wasn't an F, but it wasn't an A+ either. Did Jordan have his best day? No, certainly not. Missed quite a few things, including the deep shot to Keyshawn Helt that could have been a game-changing.
And someone pointed out that little short route that would have picked up the first round he threw behind Keyshawn, too. That was big late in the game.
God, that's open.
Just a couple feet out, just a foot more in. Keyshawn catches that, you convert the first down, and who knows what happens at that point.
Yep. Yeah. So, he's in between. What we saw in North Carolina was a revelation with the read option. It just didn't happen today. There's a ceiling there, but it's enough. They've got enough, we both agree, Gene, to win the vast majority of their games down the stretch. They're coin flips, but you can win pretty much every game remaining on the schedule. And we never thought that you were in a position to where you could scare a victory, up on the road at Clemson a month ago. And here they are. And they had a chance to win it with 2 freaking first downs with 5 minutes to go. They didn't get it done. For those of you who are on hold on the Warchant.com postgame show, we're going to get to each and every one of you. No more new callers. So, Terry,
we are hoping to get a call from Memorial Stadium at some point here, too.
That is correct. So, Terry, we're good on new callers, but let's go down the line with the folks who have been waiting patiently on hold. That includes Wes in the Villages. Wes, we haven't talked to you. No, I think you called last time, but how's it going, Wes?
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Hanging in there.
Hey, Wes, all things considered, we're good. Could have been better. We're almost there, but, we're hanging in.
Yeah, I look at it like this. I mean, you're on the road in Death Valley late in the fourth quarter with the lead, have a chance to win the game. You haven't played anything close to your potential. Lots of mistakes, bad calls. We can point to a lot of things. And again, there are no moral victories, but you got to walk out of there, everybody does, with their head high and continue to see the growth and development of the program. Lots of things to work on, lots of, roster holes to fill and things. But all things considered, man, who would have thought a month ago we would have had the lead late in the fourth quarter? No shot.
Yeah.
And that's huge. That's huge. So, and it brings me to my question. So we go 0-4 in September, bottom of the barrel, awful. Come back, obviously 3-game win streak. In October, 3-1. We got 4 games left in November. I'm going to go out and predict that we do another 3-1 finish in November. That gets us to our 6-6, get to a bowl game, finish the year strong. And I wanted to get your all's take. I know you guys said earlier you think they're all coin flips, but I want to get your thoughts on what you think the final record would be just based on where we are right now. And I'll hang up and listen to that. But before I go, I got hung up on a little too quick last week, and I wanted to hit a promo on the way out, and that is, everybody don't forget to hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel, as well as warchant.com, the best in the business. Y'all have a good evening. Go Noles and beat NC State. Bye.
Well, thank you, Wes. Yes. So, yeah, Terry, that's you cut him off. Or was that you, Tom, who cut him off?
Oh, that's me. I'm a quick.
All right, Tom. And Wes is he's our media consultant. Look at him helping us out.
Wes has earned the benefit of the doubt. There are a lot of callers who just like to go and go and go. So I'm a quick trigger Jesse. But Wes, all right, you've earned the chance to sign off this week now. Thank you, Wes.
You got it, buddy.
So, Gene, your thoughts on the remaining schedule?
Yeah, man. Like I said, look, they're all coin tosses, and I'm going to play the thing. I go 2-2. I'll go 2-2 down. Right? Is there four left? We got. Yeah, 4 left. 2-2 in the bowl. 2-2. No, I don't know. I mean, that would be. That's I don't know. You might get in a bowl with 5. I mean, it can happen nowadays, and all the teams opting out and players leaving. It could happen. So. Yeah, I'm just going to play the odds. That's what I do. I'm going to go 2-2. What do you think, Tom?
I don't like what I've seen out of Miami's offense lately, Gene.
No. How do they fall into a quarterback that's better?
Yeah.
It's like freaking the nonsense with Mullen. I was watching that game today, and I'm like, Mullen, would Kyle Trask have ever played if the stiff from Wakulla, whatever his name was, that wouldn't have got hurt? Felipe Franks doesn't get hurt. Do we even ever see Kyle Trask?
Right. Yeah. Well,
this idiot down Diaz who's fired, who's done, he falls into this Van Dyke kid or whatever his name is, and he's better. He can throw the frickin' ball.
Yep. How much sooner would we have seen Dalvin Cook if not for Mario Pender in Tallahassee? We had one of those situations.
Well, okay, all right, it's all fair. Well, it would have eventually, but it's a quarterback's a bigger deal. But we've seen our two rivals just fall into luck. It seems like we'll see that. Well, we haven't really seen the second. It wasn't tested the last couple of weeks. We think the secondary's better. They've been tested, boy. They're going to be tested against Miami. They like to throw the ball. But what I do like about that matchup is you can run against Miami. And that is what Florida State does well. And I'm sure we'll have a good third and Lang feature on that one.
Yep.
Breaking that stuff down. But I like that matchup against Miami because I think if they keep it close by the fourth quarter, Florida State is owning the trenches. They're going to run down their throats.
Yeah, you can control the tempo of that game if Miami doesn't improve drastically. There was a moment, Gene, when we were doing the pregame show today, and I had the Pitt-Miami game up. Pitt was in a 2nd and 23. They call a simple draw. And they get 26 on it. I was like, what is this? And it's in a moment where Miami is looking to close that game.
But you can't give up on the run. I'm yelling, man, our bamboo boy.
Yeah.
Stop that. Do not, when you get these games, Clemson's a different animal. NC State, Miami, these other teams, man, you cannot give up on the run against them.
Yeah, to answer Wes, I'd say I like our chances next week because NC State is really banged up. That's helped change, and they play a lot worse on the road than they do at home. So those two things you got in your favor. Miami, I don't know. We'll see. That Van Dyke performance today was impressive.
Yeah, it's scary.
They played well against NC State as well last week, so we'll see there. Boston College, I feel good about. And then who knows what Florida's situation is going to be, how dysfunctional, how functional, who's the quarterback. Florida's a complete wild card. So I'm with you, Eugene. I think it's a 2-2. And then maybe we're one of those 5-win teams who can if you're a bowl and you're trying to pick between a middle-level FBS squad and Florida State at 5-7, you're going to want the cachet of
the fans will be – that's the thing.
Yep.
We'll be the most excited 5-win fan base in the country. We're going to – especially if it's somewhere within traveling distance, man, the fans will come out in droves to see Florida State play.
We now throw to the rickety old press box up at Memorial Stadium. Maybe they've updated it. I haven't been there in 8 years, so I shouldn't say that. But we go to Ira Schofel, the 5-star himself, who has just wrapped up media availabilities. Ira, what's going on?
As soon as I logged in, I got to hear Gene calling FSU's offensive coordinator Bamboo Boy. So I got a feel for maybe where the tone of this post-game show is going.
It hasn't been terribly negative, Ira. No. We were just criticizing about, or debating about, they went into a drop-back passing offense pretty early in this game. But I think Gene would agree that if we're placing blame, it's special teams number 1, 2, 3, and 4, maybe the offense 5, and then the defense did a good job tonight. It's hard to pin the blame on them.
Yeah, I think they got, as far as the running game goes, I did catch, you guys talking about that, them abandoning the running game. And Corey talked a lot about that in the post-game wrap that should be up on the website soon, that we did from down on the field. But I think they got overwhelmed up front. Dylan Gibbons basically didn't practice all week. Devontae Love-Taylor's coming back from an injury, and they weren't a great offensive line in the first place. And I think they got kind of spooked by how just overwhelmed they were up front. And so I think they felt like maybe they could pass protect, especially with, maybe particularly Dylan being a little bit limited in his running ability. So, you can quibble with that. I think from a big picture standpoint, though, I thought Clemson played pretty well. I didn't think Clemson was terrible. I mean, they did have some turnovers, they missed some field goals, but their defense played really well. I thought DJ Uiagalelei played better than
well done, Ira.
I might have botched it a couple times in the post-game wrap that you can see, but I got it right one of those times. But yeah, I thought he actually made some plays that we haven't seen him. Justin Ross played really well. So yeah, I know this isn't the Clemson team of the last few years, but they played pretty well. They were at home, and I thought Florida State brought the fight to them. So from that standpoint, I think it's a step in the right direction.
All right, I got to bring up what Tom mentioned at the outset, special teams. I mean, how upset was Mike Norvell? Was it as bad what you saw in person, we saw in person? It's incredible. You go into this game, you just did the one thing they couldn't – you look at everything else, you're like, they did what they needed to do, but the one thing they could not lose was special teams, and they were horrible again.
Yeah, it was bad. And, Norvell, I mean, he's not going to roll a coach under the bus, and he's not going to roll players under the bus. He gave, a lot of the credit to Clemson for what they did. They made a change this week. They gave Trayshawn Ward the chance. I thought especially late when they got the lead, I thought, I don't know, I kind of wonder if they told him, look, man, the only thing we can't have here is a turnover. So if they don't punt it to you, don't go get it. And because I don't understand why he would let that ball roll as far as he did. But that was big. A couple other things. I mean, Trayshawn also fumbled, and Trayshawn Ward's a guy that, he's been awesome this whole season. I think FSU fans love him, but the fumble he had when, FSU's got the ball late in the game was costly as well. And they just, to me, it just seemed like a team that, I don't know, hasn't been in this situation. They haven't been in a game like this against a team like that in a venue like this. And none of these kids, most of these guys on this team are like first and second year guys at Florida State or guys who train smaller schools. And, like Devontae Love-Taylor and a couple of those guys. So I just think they kind of wilted a little bit in big moments.
So a big part of the discussion of this is, the abandoning the run, obviously going back quite a lot, passing the ball. And I realize, look, we try to tell people too, this shouldn't be the scheme down the stretch because NC State, Miami, you can run on those teams. You're not playing the same kind of defense. We didn't get to catch all of Norvell. Did he talk about that a little bit, about them doing that? It seemed like to us, like Tom had brought up, maybe there's some running opportunities on the perimeter they didn't try to emphasize. Was there any discussion of that?
Yeah, I mean, he gave a lot of the credit to Brent Venables. Jordan Travis said that Venables did throw some things at them that they didn't expect. I also thought Jordan, I just think some of the things that have worked for him, some of those spins and some of those plays where he reverses field and that work against some defenses, man, just were not going to work against those guys. They were definitely scheming it up to take him away. And look, also early in the game, early on in the first half, when Florida State would go empty in the backfield, Clemson still kept like 8 guys in the box. I mean, they were determined to not let Florida State run the ball. And so, I think they felt like, man, we've got to take some shots and try to win. And they hit some plays. Jordan Wilson caught a couple balls. I mean, they had a couple opportunities. And it's just, I guess Cam McDonald went down during the game, which was unfortunate. But, overall, I think, to your point, I mean, that's one of the things that Corey and I said in the wrap is it's disappointing that they couldn't run the ball at all because even when they ran it, they didn't run it well. But I don't think they're going to face a defensive front quite like that, especially not on the road.
Yeah, and then, of course, a couple key penalties down the stretch. Right. Now, I think the Lundy out of bounds, we see that all the time. That's fine. But then, of course, the call on Noles, and there's another one earlier in the second half, too. And I see Mike Norvell was a little ornery. He's not going to complain too much about it because you can't. But any take on those calls, and how much that impacted the game?
Pass interference, I thought, was ridiculous. To me, the only thing, it almost like it was like a face guarding call in the NFL, and you're allowed to face guard in college
football.
But you're
not in college. You explain the rule, Ira, that's not.
Right. In the NFL, you can't face guard, but in college football, you can. And so I don't think he did anything wrong. And the 2 referees that were closest to the play did not call it. It was a guy that came from way far away. I think he just assumed it must have been a pass interference. And look, I mean, the reality is, Florida State had chances to, and I think that's what Mike Norvell focused on was, yeah, they got some calls go against them, but they also did some things that cost them opportunities. They had chances to make plays to win the game, and they didn't do it. So he's focused on that. But, the big takeaway I thought from the team, was they do feel like this was a step in the right direction. But, I really only think that counts if they play well and probably beat NC State next week at home. If you come back and don't play well, you think about the Notre Dame game, they came back after the Notre Dame game and laid an egg, an emotional loss. If something like that happens again, then you lose all of, all the positive momentum of the last few weeks.
Now, Tom was a big fan of the taunting penalty in the end zone. I know he talked about that quite a bit. He said he was really a fan of that. So what was your take on that play on the scoop and score? Letting a student athlete celebrate, we can never have that, right?
What's weird is everybody was just talking this past week about how they've been letting that stuff go. We've been seeing, Jarvis Brownlee last week when he had the pick six, he did his choreographed dance. Marcus Cushney, I think.
Here we go. Yep.
I mean, it's
that really, seriously, is the taunting for that.
You're not supposed to spike it. You're not supposed to throw it up in the air. So I get it, but man, it's just a tough call. And really, even though Florida State got the ball back, they got a 3 and out and they got the ball back. It still kind of gave Clemson
affected
some
field
life.
position, but yeah.
So it was, and
so the defense. Again, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say again, they haven't been in those moments. I think if Florida State had been playing in these kinds of games all year, now Jermaine Johnson's different. He's played in big games at Georgia, but for a lot of those guys, they haven't played in a game like this with all the emotions where they were a month ago to be in a situation like that. And I think the emotions got the best of them.
So the defense on the whole, I know we had some fans complaining about the defense, but I thought on the whole, look, that last drive, there were a couple penalties, but I mean, that second half, the way it looked like it was going to get a hand in the second quarter, but man, they seemed like they played lights out. They forced turnovers. They were getting 3 and outs. They were getting sacks, tackles for loss. There was some poor tackling on Shipley and a couple runs, but other than that, I thought the defense played really well down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't play well early. Some missed tackles and some a couple of plays where they definitely made some mistakes. And and Robert Cooper, when we talked to him after the game, people can watch. We got a few players after the game. People can watch those videos on our YouTube channel. Also, Robert Cooper, Jordan Travis, Jay Sean Corbin, and obviously Mike Norvell. And Robert Cooper said, he felt like they gave them 17 points. But after that, you're right. I mean, the defense played really well, and I don't think that was all just Clemson's offense not being very good. Shipley's a good running back. Justin Ross is a great receiver. The tight end, Allen he's a big time tight end. They have players, and I didn't think DJ played that poorly. So I thought the defense did play well, just made some mistakes early on, and kind of set them behind the 8 ball.
Tom,
any final thoughts, Ira, on the general spirit of the team? Again, I know what you're talking about, the stakes next week and moving forward for the momentum of the program, but just I know they can't be happy, but how would you compare maybe the way they're responding in the formative moments, the first moments after a loss today versus some of the other ones this season?
I think the most comparable game is Notre Dame, just because of the status of the opponent. And I know Clemson's 4-3 coming in, but they're still Clemson. They were number 3 in the country coming into the season. So from that standpoint, I think you compare those two. It seemed to me that they were more upset about this win from a feeling like they let it slip away and they could have and should have won the football game. I thought the Notre Dame game, there was some of that kind of moral victory stuff. And even though most of the guys said there wasn't, you kind of had that feeling that some guys were happy about how they had played. The guys we talked to, I feel like they're confident. I don't think there's any confidence shaken. And several of the players talked about not wanting to wait to get back to practice tomorrow. But the proof will be in the pudding. How they prepare this week, how they play against NC State is really how we're going to determine what this game meant tonight, I think.
Hey, I got to ask, because several people are asking in our chat, and I don't think you have an answer, but we saw the final play. Lawrence Tuafili went down, had to be helped off the field. A lot of people are asking if there's any kind of an update on him.
Nothing official, but I did ask somebody in the program, and they told me they thought he's going to be okay. So
great.
Hopefully that's true.
That's good to hear. Hopefully that's right. Thank you so much. And so a lot of good stuff coming up. I know we'll have grades tomorrow. I'll work on that. You'll have your 3, 2, 1. I'm sure Corey right now is hacking away behind you, right, on a column.
He is writing right now, and Austin's writing on something. Aslan's putting the rap video together, and then we'll get on the road.
A rap video?
Yeah, the Seminole rap part 2. This time we're doing it after the loss, as opposed to before the loss. But a Warchant
I said that's
rap.
something new for Warchant. I didn't get in the loop on that. We're doing rap videos now.
It's gonna be viral. Hey, if we did do a rap video, I think it would be viral. Maybe, all views
for all the wrong reasons.
All YouTube views count, right?
All right, well, good stuff coming up on. We'll have a lot of that for you, and look forward to that Warchant rap. Man, I was looking forward to Corey running down that hill, stumbling, bumbling, doing crazy stuff. But hopefully, we'll have more of that silliness from Corey soon. All right, I appreciate hard work. Safe travels back. See you soon. Did you cut us off again? Didn't you, Tom?
Well, he was done. I see he's walking to the
Tom with that quick trigger finger. Boom! You're out of here.
I'm a mover and a shaker, Gene. It's like when I go on road trips. If I'm driving, I'm a straight shot artist. I like to get there. There are no stops. We're not stopping. We're going.
All right.
But
I'm looking forward to the Warchant rapping video. I can't wait. Who do you think would be the best rapper on the staff?
I'll tell you what. Aslan's got a bit of a lexicon to him, right? He's got a good vocabulary.
He might be able to pull it off.
Corey would be the funniest. Whether or not he's the best, I don't know, but he would certainly be the funniest.
I'd be like Odell, I think, if I tried to do it.
Yeah.
Seminole rap.
I don't know that I could bring myself to watch it if the staff did that. Even if we participated in it. We've got a few more callers left that are waiting patiently on hold. But before we get to that, another reminder, folks, that this post-game show is always brought to you by our friends at teampaper.com. Teampaper.com, created in the era of the NIL to support players. 80% of every dollar you spend with teampaper.com goes directly to the players. And at Team Paper, they believe NIL should be more than just for the star players. They should be for as many players as want to be a part of their program. We've got upwards of 20 Florida State Seminole football players that are involved with teampaper.com, creating personalized content, stories, behind-the-scenes things you'd never know about your favorite players. You can find at Team Paper. Use code WARCHANT at checkout at teampaper.com to receive $10 off the Tallahassee bundle. You can do that right now in a different tab, teampaper.com, expanding their library and their yearbooks from beyond football to basketball and softball very, very soon. So we thank teampaper.com for their support. Next up on the warchant.com postgame show, he's been waiting a little while, and he's been waiting out in Hawaii. It's Ralph. What's going on? Welcome to the warchant.com postgame show. Go ahead.
Aloha, guys. How's it? I just wanted to say that I started watching the game at halftime because I was watching another previous sporting event. And I went to the tribal council to kind of just get a feel for how things were going. And there was a lot of negativity, fireful, or what have you. I would like to encourage everybody out there to please calm down. I think, in my personal opinion, is this team's not getting blown out anymore. They're learning. They're losing late, and they're upset about it. As Tom alluded to earlier, there's no more moral victories. This team is on a growth pattern. I think we're in a great position for the next two home games. I just want everybody out there, obviously, calm down and keep supporting this team. And if you're going to be upset about anything where there's not growth or reasonable growth, it's the special teams, and you guys have touched upon that. So I just like to encourage everybody to encourage this team. Go Noles.
Thanks, Ralph. Well, yeah,
Thank you, Ralph.
Yeah, I mean, this is what happens. If you're going to type on a keyboard after having a couple of pops and you're watching your favorite team play, you might not say some things that you would say tomorrow.
Tom, this is great entertainment value, and I love doing this. We used to actually try to moderate in-game the tribal council. We gave up on it. It is the most hilarious thing. If you ever want to have fun during the game, go in during the game and look at what's going on in the tribal council. They live and die with every play. If there's a bad play, fire all the coaches, and then we make a big, long play. We're the greatest team. We're going to run the table. We're going to win the ACC. I mean, it goes back and forth like that, and I love – if people complain – later the next day, if Florida State comes back and win and somebody bashed them during the game, people bring that post back up.
Yep.
And the person, can you delete that post? No. You're in a game. You're throwing that stuff out there. Don't be so knee-jerk on every single play. But you know what? It's entertainment value. So I encourage you, if you're a Warchant subscriber, enjoy yourself. Go watch those posts. It's great. I'm fine with it. Have fun.
I'm going to post a comment from our friend Rick. It's in all caps, and it's a positive one. That's the stunner. There you go.
Wow. There you go, Rick.
He's screaming at us that he likes Fuller, that the defense showed out today. Usually when you have a comment that's in all caps, it's a complaint. There it is, the rare bird in the wild. an all caps positive post. So we love you, Rick. Thank you for that comment. Next up on the warchant.com post-game show is Caleb in Memphis. Caleb, he's got a question about Jordan Travis. Go ahead. Welcome to the program.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hey, Caleb.
So I just want to talk about Jordan Travis and just the future of him for Florida State. I think that there's just clearly an obvious ceiling for him. And I think that if we want, we've seen a great defense. If we want to be where we should be in a few years, I don't think he's going to be the quarterback. There's just too many limitations where it comes to his ability to throw the ball. And he just seems to get flushed out of the pocket too much. In a team that's really good at setting the edge and spacing their gaps, it just doesn't really work out for him. Thank you. Go Noles.
Yeah. Thank you, Caleb. I mean, he makes some good points about that, but I guess also but we don't know if he has an actual legitimate receiver core, how much better could he be? And that's the thing too, and I think people don't realize how much practice time he's missed the last couple of years. He hasn't had a whole lot of time to really learn the system. So I want to see him next year with a system in place and a couple viable wide receivers who can get real separation. And if he still cannot excel and it's still limited in what he can do, like you said, his ceiling is limited, then maybe a guy like Chuba comes in. We saw some really good things out of Chuba. It was against UMass, so I don't, it's a small sample size against a really bad team. Maybe he is the next iteration of what this offense needs. But I'm not ready to give up on Travis yet. He brings so much to that offense, and we talked about that running game. One of the reasons the running game is so good is because when the defense is preoccupied worrying about Jordan Travis, it opens up holes for Corbin and Ward and Toafili and those guys to make big plays. If you have another quarterback that might be a little better passing the football, those lanes might go away. So I get it. I get the understanding. You're right. He's a below average passer right now, but I think that could change if the line gets better and you have a couple viable wide receivers out there.
Yeah, I think Jordan's a really entertaining player. He's gotten a hell of a lot better already in the short amount of time. So there is hope that the development curve could be steep still to the good side of things. But ultimately, I agree with Caleb. You just need a higher quality quarterback and a higher quality of talent baseline in order to get to the end part of the discussion. Now, Jordan might be instrumental in getting us to that place, but if we're more, like he's saying, in 2 years, if this program is where, at the pinnacle, you're a top 10, top 12 football program with a chance to make the playoff, I think you need a better starting point. You need a quarterback who's got more natural gifts. But I wouldn't put it past Jordan Travis. He's come a long way already. So
But you pointed out earlier, and then Kayvon brought this up in this post on Facebook, and it was weird that he did not run like he should have run tonight. I mean, like you said, there were a couple opportunities when he stepped up in the pocket, and that hole was there for him to immediately took, and he waited a second to look a little bit more. At the end of the day, man, you're playing against Clemson. You don't know, read the room. You don't have the elite wide receivers, man. If you got that gap to run, it should be a split decision run, get that 10, 15 yards, slide down, get the first down, and then move on. And he did not use that to his full advantage tonight.
No, there was not that internal clock, that urgency that said go. It's not their go. That was not a part of his processing today. And we can understand, and Gene, we agree on this too, that there are times in this game where they're calling a read option and there's no good answer. So the design run would not have worked. But the times where you break the pocket and you've got a chance to make them pay for giving you a chance to get down the field, make a guy miss in the open, because he can make dudes miss in the open field. He does it every week. And you don't see that urgency from Jordan. That's frustrating, especially when it comes down to one possession. You're like, God.
No, it does seem like, Leslie pointed this out. It does seem like he was a little nervous. It was a bigger game. We all talked about it. I pointed out this was a new environment for them. I'm sorry, going to the wine and cheese crowd in Chapel Hill is nothing like going to Memorial Stadium, Death Valley, and that crowd. It's a totally different animal. And it seemed like it got to him a little bit, like he wasn't the same decisive quarterback he was a couple weeks earlier.
Agreed. I thought the offense everybody was tentative to start that game too. And they just couldn't completely shake it. And the one killer, I think one of the best runs we were going to have today was the Trayshawn Ward fumble. It's just like, Jesus, that really rose up and bit you there, because that run gets you around the field and you give the ball right back.
Those momentum things you talk about, you get the turnover and the momentum shifts, and that's so big in college football. And when you give it right back to the other team, man, it's a bitch.
We didn't even hear the crowd because the ESPN feed had a different game on. You heard the PA system in a different stadium. It was a rough day all around, especially the way it finished. Our second to last caller, our penultimate caller on the Warchant.com postgame show is Steven, and he's in Huntsville, Alabama. What's up, Steven? Go ahead.
Hey, guys. How you doing tonight?
Good, Steven.
Go ahead.
Hey, all I want to say, first off, this is Big Steve 22 from Tribal Council. And, man, I just want to say, man, I'm so proud of the guys tonight, man. They played an amazing game. Yeah, we're against the wall, even going into the game. But I think that some people, who has negative comments about our team and our defense, especially in the offense too, man, they're wrong. I mean, our defense, to me, they play lights out. I mean, they did exactly what they're supposed to do. Our offense, I mean, we're young across the board. And, Jordan, he did what he could do against that Clemson defense, which is amazing. I mean, our whole team is so young and inexperienced. I mean, like you said, like you guys been talking about all night tonight, man, we're just a few playmakers away just for being an elite team. And special teams, I don't even want to comment on that. But it was horrible. It was horrible. But overall, though, I think, man, we gave it our best foot forward, and I think the future is bright, man. Like you said, Gene, like you said, man, people on Tribal Council, man, it's just hilarious how they make, we make one player miss one play, and everyone's like, "Oh man, we suck so bad." I mean, it's funny, but I was gonna say, I am very proud of the guys tonight. I mean, they fought hard. I mean, the score is not indicative of, the performance they put on. And Clemson, to everyone always says Clemson's down. I mean, they're not down. I mean, they got 5 stars all across the board. I mean, they just missed up here and there. But I think we did a great job tonight. And all I want to say is that I think that, the outlook on this team is pretty bright. And go Noles for the rest of the season, man.
Thank you, Steven. And obviously, thank you for being a subscriber to Warchant.com. We appreciate your support on the website side of things and being a participant in this show tonight. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple ways to look at it. This team put themselves in a position to beat a much better, much more talented, I should say, Clemson team on the road. The other part is you're up 3 with 5 minutes to go. Can you give me a couple of first downs? That's the next step in the growth. The defense did what it needed to do to finish the game. The offense didn't. What do you think of Steven's comments, Gene? Anything you take issue with?
Yeah, I appreciate the positivity from Steven, and I think that's what you need to focus on in this game. Look, it's not a moral victory, but at the same point, it's positive. I mean, they came up. It's a huge growth from just a few weeks ago, and it's continuing. And sure, there's some things you need to clean up. And he pointed out the defense. So it's been a recurring theme we've had tonight. A lot of people are complaining about the defense online. But at the end of the day, look, they had a bad quarter. The second quarter was bad for the defense. The second half, the defense gave up 1 touchdown, and that was a couple calls. One, even Ira Schofel was like, that's even the TV commentator in Ira was like, was a horrible call. They probably don't even get that touchdown if it's not for the ACC helping them. So you could have effectively shut them out or held them to 3 points in the second half. On the road at Clemson to do that, that's a great job by the defense. So that is not, and that's what Steven brought up, that is not on the defense. So I think they played well. And again, at the end of the day, repeat it over and over again. You had a chance, and you said it, Tom, at the end of the game, you have a lead, you're on the road, you have the ball, there's a few minutes left in the game. Win the game.
Yeah.
Go and get a couple first downs, the game's over. You don't need to sit there and go 3 and out and punt the ball back and give them a chance to go back and win the game. And you gave them that opportunity, and they're still a good team. They still have a lot of talent. You can't do that over and over. Eventually, whether it's them or it's the ACC officials, you put yourself in a position where they can win the game.
Yeah, and Clemson did a few things to try and help us win that football game too, and we just weren't good enough to take advantage of them, and that's where it gets frustrating. Our final caller of the evening, we go out to Vegas. What are you doing? Not in a casino, Robert. How's it going? Welcome to the Warchant Postgame Show.
Well, good. I almost bet on the Noles, but glad I didn't. I would have lost, I guess, with the score. But that being said, guys, the only thing, I mean, a lot has been said, and I know I'm the last caller, but the thing that I don't see in any of these games is any adjustments by either our defensive head coaches and especially our offensive coaches. We didn't make an adjustment. All right, Clemson is going to stop the run. What are you going to do? Are you going to flip it out to your tailback and instead of putting it right down the middle, or are you going to get possibly even a whole totally different quarterback? I know people say that Purdy's not ready, but Purdy can throw it. So I just don't see the adjustments that are being made during the game by both coaches.
Well,
what's your opinion?
Go ahead, Gene. I'll let you start with the answer on that one for Robert.
Well, I think we've talked about it tonight a little bit, Robert, on the offensive side. I agree to some extent when they were packing the box and they were taking away the run between the tackles. I think there could have been an adjustment besides just adjusting to try to throw the ball against your weakness. So I agree with you that it should have come with a more perimeter game, whether that's some like Tom pointed out, the speed option, or maybe some quick throws out there, to get some guys out on the perimeter a little bit. I agree with you defensively. Look, I just pointed out, they held Clemson to one touchdown that was aided by questionable penalties in the second half. So I think maybe they did make some adjustments. You're shutting down Clemson in their home stadium in the second half after they gutted you in the second quarter. I'd say, yeah, you did make some adjustments. So yes and no, I could see. Look, it wasn't great coaching. They could have done some things to help them prove their win, but I don't think that was the difference in the game. Again, we go back to it. It's special teams. That you had the game in your hand at the end of the game and you didn't move the ball when you needed to.
Yeah, that's where you didn't make an adjustment. Trayshawn Ward continued to be the punt returner, and it cost us a ton of yards.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that with Travis Jay.
It's been an issue all season. They can't put it. It doesn't matter who they put back there.
Well, was it Ja'Kai Douglas? Not Travis Jay. Was it Ja'Kai Douglas that kept on jogging out of the end zone a couple weeks ago on kickoffs or 3 games ago, and we were lamenting?
Yeah.
And it was.
And then was it who else was it? We kept fielding the UMass on the 5-yard line. He kept taking fair catches.
That was Travis Jay.
Travis Jay, yeah.
That's you're allowed to switch up your returner within a game. Would be my number one thing I'd say about that, and adjust there. For the defense, yeah, they were much better in the second half. I'd call that an adjustment. I'd call what happened in the second half against Louisville after a 31-7 start an adjustment on defense in which they got better. Are they perfect? No. And when you're this limited, it's hard to adjust. I think their adjustment on offense today was we're going to drop back and throw it around more. You could agree with that or not, but they're trying to do something. That doesn't exonerate them completely, but you've got a limited amount of resources here to work with this coaching staff.
I mean, they were shut out. The offense was shut out in the second half. So, I mean, you can say that they didn't. Obviously, the dropping back continually and trying to throw the ball was not an effective offensive scheme. You did, even with, I know the Toafili thing was a little bit of a flip, but look, the play was good. I mean, it would have been a 40-yard play, even if it was tackled on the play, because it was a nice wheel route. It was a good play concept. I think you were having some success on offense, and they made some adjustments defensively in that second half, and you were shut down. You couldn't do anything.
Yep. I think it's a resources thing. Once you get better players in here, watch how smart these coaches become. I don't know.
Funny how that works.
Yeah. Before we wrap up tonight, a programming reminder. If you love the Sunday Smash with Ira Schofel and Jeff Cameron, and you can handle a little bit extra language, well, remember tomorrow night on Halloween, it's 6 p.m., not a 7 p.m. start. It is a 6 p.m. There it is. There are the guys.
There we go.
They've got their witches hats on, and they'll be breaking down this game and talking a little bit NFL, I'm sure, as the Bucs and the Saints are in the 4 o'clock window tomorrow. But that's right here on Warchant TV, 6 p.m. tomorrow night, not 7 o'clock. They're getting
That's because Jeff has to go out trick-or-treating. He dresses up as a 10-year-old to go out and get candy.
That would be the biggest and ugliest 10-year-old you ever saw. But, hey, all more power to you in that Killarn neighborhood, sir. Gene, final thoughts before we wrap up tonight.
It is what it is. I know everyone wants to have a big take on a game. It's kind of what we expected. It was a relatively low scoring game. Florida State showed they've made definite progress. Clemson showed it's still not an elite offense. It's still not the Clemson that we saw from a year ago. But Florida State is still in a position to have a very good season down the stretch. We talked about those last 4 games. And if you can finish strong, you'll look back at this. Look, you went on the road. You took Clemson the last couple minutes of the game. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's not hurting recruiting. It's fine. So you just move on to the next game. But you got 2 huge home games in a row, Tom. And I think these next 2 games are going to define the season.
I totally agree. Yes, you're setting up for high-stakes football over the next couple of weeks. My final thought for tonight would be I felt emotions today for a Florida State football game that was not the opening game of the season that I haven't felt in a long time. That's what I'm taking out of today in a big positive way. It felt like we were playing for something meaningful again. And the good news is, Gene, you're absolutely right. The next 2 weeks, you're going to feel it all over again. Florida State they're starting to play at a level where each game counts for something. You're not putting it in your mind with a bunch of qualifiers saying this team's no good, who cares? You're saying, you know what? We could accomplish something here. We can make a bowl. We can change the program and the future for the better today. And that's what I felt today on the road. I just wish they closed it out because this would have been a lot happier of a post-game show. But it's not a downtrodden, completely beaten post-game show either. They're continuing their progress. We want to thank, obviously, everybody who called tonight on the Warchant.com post-game show, for everybody who's in the comments section, for those of you who supported us, Vishal and the others, our pillar, Eric, and so many more folks. We really, really appreciate your support here at Warchant.com and Warchant TV. If you haven't done so yet, even though the result of the game isn't what you wanted, folks, hit the like button right underneath Gene on this video. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do so, because we will provide you the best content Florida State-wise that you will find on the internet, bar none. We have more programming, more multimedia stuff than anybody else out there. We really appreciate your support. Man, Kayvon, you're on that all day about that Jim Rome goatee. There ain't no way. First of all, he's like 5'3", all right? Secondly, that thing is like a pencil. He's got like a pencil.
Yeah.
No, man. Now, I'd love his paycheck. I would love his bank account. But, I mean, come on. I'm not a guy who's going to say clones. Come on, clones. I'm no.
Come on, Chris Everett.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I bet I do, Chris. Yeah, exactly.
I just realized this too, and I'm seeing all this talking about the Halloween stuff. I'm so freaking disappointed. In my closet right here in the man cave, I've got the blind ACC referee outfit. Why didn't I wear that tonight? It would have been the absolute perfect night to wear that, to entice and troll the fans and get them more wound up about that.
Oh, what is pass interference?
I will roll that out. I'll roll that out for Sunday.
What is pass interference, folks? I don't know. I certainly don't know. But we also appreciate, as always, our guy Terry for screening the calls tonight.
Thank you, Terry. You're the man.
For Gene Williams.
And I'm playing Terry in our two fantasy leagues. I'm playing Terry in both leagues. So he's going down this week. So, Terry, I hope you heard that.
That's right, Terry. I think you should bet Gene $3,000 on the game. Side wager of $3,000. For Gene Williams, who we wish good luck tomorrow in his fantasy football game, the founder and administrator of Warchant.com, my name is Tom Lang, the DOC at Warchant. We will talk to you next week, 10 to 15 minutes after the NC State game. We hope you have a good night and a safe Halloween, everybody.